こんばんは。今日もやります。こんばんは。こんばんは、こんばんは。スチーム。またなんか出てくるかな。なんか、調節が、出てこなかった。くそ。もうないのかな。でもなんか、最後の調節に時間がかかるとか。でも昨日さ、ニューコンテンツやっちゃったからさ、もうニューコンテンツないよね。隠れたニューコンテンツがあるんだろうか。あんま期待してない。お期待してなくてよかった。すげえな。ニューコンテンツ。ニューコンテンツが、ニューコンテンツについてるね。おお、よかった。私のサインに気づきましたね。どうなってんだろうね。なんかギフトもらった。超会議リアル参加ギフトなんかあるんだ。今年行けなかったからな。あれこれなんだっけどうもどうも。来年は行けたらいいな。そっか。なんか、ニューコンテンツ。なんか歴史っていうかなんか。
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe.
ウルトラデラックスなんて馬鹿げたものは忘れてください。
One step even further, which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley parable 2.
新作。スタンリーパラブルがあれだけで終わるわけないよね。ウルトラデラックスが。やったー。そうだそうだ。そうだそうだ。あんなな、メモリーズなんかどうでもいいんだよ。メモリーズだの。スキップボタンだの。なんかいいな、この427。いいな。日本のゲームっぽいな、なんか。どことなくペルソナ感のある。427。この、どう見ても iMac。 どう見ても iMac であれ今の iMac ってでもそうだっけ？フロントにロゴついてんだっけ？今も。今ない。すごいな。隠してある感じが。インベスターショーケース。
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
いろんな言葉で2って書いてあるんだろうけど、2って書いてないな。NI って書いておいてほしい。2。ところどころ紙落ちてんの気になる。オフペインティング K.tga できないか。タイトルあんま関係ないのか。関係ない。めっちゃ two って書いてある。Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. 歌かな釈迦みたいな。結局なんかでもあれじゃん、メモリーズみたいな感じになっちゃってる。見学して回ってる。They are back to doors. 2つのドアが返ってきた。いい。全部2つある。ロゴアイデア。これパワポではないけど、プレゼンテーションソフトで作るんだ。いられとかではなく。
I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figured that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
なんだろうね。two eyes, two ears, two nose, 読めん。two arms, two legs. はてなはてなはてな。いいな、なんか近代的なオフィス。いいな。 ショーフロア。お。ニューフィーチャーズ。バスニューコンテンツって書いてる。こっちか。バス気になるな。何もない。お新機能を試してください。グッズ売ってる。グッズ売ってんのかな。あ。このゲームをプレイしている人の名前を言うボタン。
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person
ゲームをプレイしている人の名前を話すのです。
Isn't that wonderful?
ああ。ロードトゥーザパーフェクトボタンって。ボタンのサイズ。大きすぎ、小さすぎ。ちょうど。それは別に、今回やるあれじゃないじゃん。ねえ。これ大丈夫かな？押していいのかな？ The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. Try it here. 大丈夫かな？大丈夫かな？大丈夫かな？システムの時刻を見ていないようなゲームだけど。大丈夫かな？ちょっと待ってね。押してみるか。
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role play as Jim.
実際にジムとなりロールプレイしていただきましょう。
Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath.
心をクリアにしてください。
Forget whoever you are and simply become
自分が誰であるか忘れ、ただただジムという名前。ジムとして生き、ジムとして眠り、歩く。
Falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of
Hi,
the
Jim.
world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust.
I am
Do you feel
Jim.
it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
Yes.
So, then please step forward and press the button. Jim. Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again. Jim. It hits even harder the second time.
違う名前言ったら
This
面
was
白い。
the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2. It would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation. Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
埋まったぞ。もっとこうさ、こうギミック的に隠れてってくれよ。 埋まってったぞ。新機能が埋まってった。すげえ気になるな、ここ。気になるけど。ノースクリーンショット。ああ。ジャンプサークル。ジャンプサークルってだって35回じゃねえの？なんだこれ。フリーニュープラスイージーアチーブメント。こっち？ Get your right now. Pull the lever. Receive your new achievement. No more steps. レバー引けばいいって。ゲーム内に残された壊れたテスト。
Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
壊れてる。なんかないんか。頑張れば降りそうだけどね、あれ。ガッコンって。実績ゲーか。トラスキのない実績とかね。なんだあれ。なんかかっこいいな。こんばんは。ニューコンテンツをやってます。怖っ。ジャンプサークル行きたい。ジャンプサークル。ジャンプサークルどこにある？ジャンプサークル。なんだよ、この分かりにくい記号。N。You are here だから。あった。ゼロじゃん。
Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's oh wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
回復しろよ。なんだよ。インフィニットホール。こうなんだろう。こう、すっごい寄り道が気になるよね。
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version,
オフィスのデザイン。
could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on get well someday.
12歳の歳が「お」になってる。そんな間違いする？誰
？You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get well someday, it is.
見聞けよ。くそ。割ってやりたい。ああ。絵が変わってた。
No, I've made my decision. We're moving on.
なこれ。難しい。難しい。Educational use only はわかる。中学生の落書きみたいな感じだ。読めねえ。無限の穴が。無限の穴ってあれじゃない？ポータルの永遠に落ち続けることができる穴なのです。天井が降りていた。無限に降り続けてさ、どうすんの？無限に落ちたら無限に落ちちゃうじゃん。怖っ。怖っ。怖っ。
You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue on. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top.
上に戻ることを多分すぐにでもやった方がいいと思います。って言われたら、まあ、やらないよね。このゲームね。おお、ちっちゃい。若干誇張した可能性があります。極めて深い穴なんです。
I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that's sort of the definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the whole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me? Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the whole mostly infinite?
ほぼ無限の。
If it works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
まだ粘れんのかな。戻るか。
Great. I'm very excited to show you even more of my idea. Oh, for heaven. You see, I was right. The problem is you. The problem is that you like holes too much. Not normal. A normal person would have said, "Yep, that's an infinite hole right there. Goes on forever till the end of time. Don't need to see it all, but not you. Oh no, 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 no. You have a weird sort of."
なんか早く着いたの。
Did the hole seem even shorter to you this time? I couldn't help but feel like you
ちょっと短くなった気がします。
there than you did before. I mean, admittedly, I didn't make an infinite hole, but I didn't think it was that not infinite. Well, I suppose once again, there's nothing to do here. If you decide you've had enough of the
やり続けたらここ床になっちゃうんじゃない？
and come join me up above. Had enough? I'm positively thrilled. Gosh, how could I have guessed? You're back in the hole. If this starts to become a thing where...
早っ
Okay, yes. I'm starting to become extremely certain that the hole is not only not infinite, but that it's growing steadily less and less
無
infinite.
限にどんどん小さくなってきているの
I'm
です。
starting to hit the point where it's no longer feasible to call the hole infinitely deep, even by the lax overall standards for accountability and marketing. What's going on here? Stanley, I have no explanation for the uncertain nature of the hole's length. Here, let's try something. Let's pop back up to the top, and we'll see if it gets any shorter. Well, there it is. The shame of my life has come to haunt me. Not only is the hole not infinite, but it's barely even a hole at this point. It's more of a concavity, even a very aggressive divot.
くぼみよ。
How is this still appealing to you? I know you're obsessed with holes, but at this depth, I just can't see this scratching the itch. Oh.
でもジャンプできない。
Just do whatever it is you're here to do and hit the teleport button.
テレポートで戻るしかない。地上に戻る。あ、テレポートは効かない。
Teleport button not working? You sure? Well, I mean, I really don't have an explanation. It was working just.
地上だからテレポートできないんじゃない？
Still nothing? Well, I suppose there is one thing I can do to fix this. I'm out. Goodbye, Stanley. You couldn't bear to be away from the hole, and now you'll get more time with it than you could ever have asked for. It's a win for everyone. You get to be with the hole, I get to do literally anything else.
ジャンプさせろ、ジャンプ。
I hope you and the hole have a wonderful...
これぐらいのよじ登れるでしょ。何もできんぞ。G。おなんで音楽はなんか壮大なんだよ。これはどっち？ここが下がってんの？それとも周りが上がってんの？視点を変える。押すたびに変わる。スタンリーこんなんだったの？認識を変える？タイミングよく、リズムよく視点を変えていくと楽しい。認識を変える。 何個あんのこれ認識。めっちゃ現実を変える。おお。あなた自身ディグダグかな。ディグダグかドリラーか。雑だな。かわいい。BGM が不穏。宇宙。なんなんこれも何個あるんだ。すごいなあ。戻った。あれ一周した。暗闇には戻らなかったけど一周した。犬にしとこう。あなた自身を変える。あなた自身を変える。倒立した。は、かわいい。怖い。あ、はい。もうちょっとやってたかったな。もうちょっと自分を変えたかった。時折私が顔を出して起こしてあげる。あなたと私はこの先何年もこの穴の中にいることになると思う。いやいや。またあれあ、帰ってきた。ああ。アナエンド。 That's new. ここか。ここ行きたいなって思ってた。
Collectibles.
すげえなんか和風な橋だな、これ。
In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
怖っ怖っ嫌やこんなんこんなとこにあるフィギュアキラキラしてる怖っ怖っ怖っ怖っ全部集めろ。
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely.
全部集めるって言ったって報酬ないんでしょジャンプサークル行ったしジャンプサークル行ったフリーアチーブメント行ったザボタン that says the name of the player that is playing the game 行ったマーチあれでしょなんかグッズ売ってたセッティングスワールドチャンピオンどこシャープどれだこれのザボタンザセイズジムって書いてるほぼ無限の穴になってるあれここさっき見たよねスタンリーパラボル安心のバケツわかりにくい矛盾しているというものでしたこのゲームの根本的な問題の解決法を巧みに画策したとリアジュランスバケット
Anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it?The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it
人としての魅力はほんの少しアップするのだと思います。
The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
終わりどうすんだよこれ
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
B、B と B2 がある。バケツもらったのは B。違う、B2 か。3、オフィスデコレーション。セミコロン、エピローグ。A9 がコレクティブルズ。どれだ A9 って。と、はいはい。インフィニットホールを見た。K は K がインフィニットホールか。Q。フリーアチブメント。はい。N。ジャンプ。出口とエピローグ。エピローグわかりにくい。N。ジャンプサークルがあれだから、これいいのか。エピローグはここか
？An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
ないんすか ?2 階に来た。あ、ここか、セッティングワールドチャンピオン。ないなーって思ってた。何これ。開かない。何なんだ。出口エグジット。とても人形があと5個あるとは思えないんだけど。いや、エピローグ見たいんだけど。ないし。インフィニティホール。いや、でもなんかな、ロードして戻ったしな。でももう一回行くか。このゲームだし。インフィニティはモーストリーってついた。また来たぞー。遊ばせろよ、無限。ほぼ無限の穴で。くそー。扉を閉めるなんて。インチキ。あれ言ったよな。ないな。バケツ持ったままなんだよな。バケツな。リアルなバケツだな、これ。このバケツにどんだけ力入れて作ったんだろうな。なんだ。ここは何ですか？
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul.
魂が感じるんです。
There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment.
実験してみましょう。新機能をまとめて整理して意味あるゲームプレイになるかどうか見てみましょう。
It coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience.
見せてくれ。
Okay. Are you ready?
いい
Here
よ。
it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
スタンリーパラボー2。
Well, I mean, there's potential here.
あ、ジャンプできる。
Sort of. Okay, never mind.
あ、フィギュア。フィギュアくれ。あ、
Yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
バージョン2。あ、フィギュア。
Who am I kidding,
Yeah.
Stanley?
フィギュア。
This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags.
バケツを投げて。
creating gags, but they don't add up to anything.
ジムボタンが
I
2
wanted
つある。
more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted
いい
fans to
続
love
編を
it.
作りたか
No
った
matter。how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait,
グミだけ
maybe
よ。
that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new
お
features.
ー、シンプルだね。
This, of course, with respect, with care for the vision and
そうだよ。
integrity
そ
of
こ
the
が
original
原点でしょ
game.
ね。
Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But
こ
it
の
would
部屋
need
が
a
原点
really,
なんです。
really tremendous title screen. A title screen
凄まじいタイトル画面。
bold and uncompromising conviction. This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up.
ちゃっちゃと作って。
All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
怖い怖い。ホラーや。すごい。通路がねじれてる。というか、ねじれてる通路がまっすぐになってる。そしてなぜかシリが反応しましたね。始める。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where
風船置いとる。
427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on
でもオフィス
Orders
このま
came
まな
to
んだ
him
な。
through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how
この
long
オ
to
ープニン
push
グ
them,
は果たして変わってるのかな。
This
でも
is
風
what
船
employee
風船あったかな。
every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would
Two.
forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
風船
All his years
風
at the
船
company had
しか
this happen. This
風
complete
船だけか。
isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid.
なんかすげえ
Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time.
なんちゅう
But as he came to his wits
今風なオフィスに
he got up
な
from
っ
his
たと思っ
desk
たのにな。
and stepped out of his office.
風船
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
じゃあこれでまたニューコンテンツに行ってみるか。んあ
Stanley picked up the bucket.
ケツがあった。あ、ニューコンテンツがなくなった。そうか、ここはあくまであれか、さっきの2はこういうゲームにしようっていう世界の中なのか。バケツを胸に強く抱き。こっちなんか変わってんのかな。バケツのぬくもり。あ、バケツ持ったまま下に行くとバケツのおかげで狂わないとかあるかな。バケツの安心感で。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket.
バケツを見下ろしました。自分は狂ってしまったのだろうか。バケツの彼をじっと見返しましたが何も言いませんでした。おかしいな。彼はバケツをしっかりと掴みましたが、いつもの安心感や心地よさを感じられませんでした。その時スタンリーは気づいたのです。これは私のバケツじゃない。これは日常使いの普通のバケツだ。誰かのバケツかもしれないんだ。でもいつの間に何があったんだ。ダメか。わー。バケツがないと本当に気が狂ってしまいそうだ。どこだ？見つけないと。どこだ？バケツどこだ？次から次。あ、バケツだ。バケツだ。バケツだ。ファインミー。バケツを見つけなくては。え、彼のバケツはずっと彼の中にいたのです。あ、おった。微妙にアレンジかかった。Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, took her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. On this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man マリエラさんが殺したかのように。talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. その男はバケツを持っていないのです。Ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total バケツになった。バケツアレンジが加わった。彼女はバク転で仕事前で向かってきました。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
バケツ、あ、こっちか。
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms.
心地よい波が押し寄せてきた。
Comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
バケツアレンジが加わった。上に行ってみよう。バケツのぬくもりと安らぎ。
Perhaps his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
シャープ。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, but Stanley guessed the correct one by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket
バケツは最初から分かっていたのでしょう。バケツが彼を導いたのでしょうか。
This is certainly the most logical explanation.
これがスタンリーパラブル2なんだよね。
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right.
なんかあっ
The bucket
た。
is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
どこで？
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
エレベーターと反対側？
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place
いけるかな？
hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen
バケツはこんなこと初めてで。
It very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently,
バ
reassuring
ケツは泣き出しそうになりまし
it
た。
would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind
バ
control
ケツもまたマインドコントロール施設の影響下にあったのか。
Had the bucket been told
バケツが望んでいないようなことも指示されていたのだろうか。
What kinds of things does a
そも
bucket
そもバケツがやりたいこととかやりたくないこととはどんなことなのだろうか。
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
バケツがメインになりつつある。
No! He screamed into the bucket.
彼はバケツの中に向かい叫びました。
His own life in someone else's control? Never! He squeezed the bucket tighter.
彼は世界でたった一人と同じなのです。
At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived
彼らは本当にかっこよくハイタッチをし、バケツは生意気にシステムを破壊してやるなんてことを言いました。ほら。
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door.
The bucket wanted to
バケツはローラースケートを習いたかっ
Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country.
た。スタンリーは地球のすべての国でくしゃみをしたかった。二人ともどんな映画でもいいから映画を見始めたい。途中でやめて、そして終わりから逆に見始めたい。
True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on.
バケツと一緒に暮らすの。スタンリー。
What? Wait. What was
あ、
happening?
ドアが動いてない。
Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the
この
bucket.
建物はバケツから離れようとしない。
Facility itself recognized
施設側でさえこのバケツの素晴らしく落ち着いた貫禄を認めたのです。
soothing warmth. Good evidence not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket.
バケツを持ってさえいれば、そうだろう、大丈夫だよね。
Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
終わった。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
フリーダムエンドがないんだ。
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as
エ
Stanley
レベー
embraced
ターの反対側。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
あれ開いたっけ覚えてねえよ。ああ
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these.
報酬はない
Only
で
the
す。
intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
悔しいけど、ちょっと嬉しかった。マジか。あるんだ、本当に。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him.
バケツどうこうあるかな。
The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845. Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
フィギュアが増えてるから、あ
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about
こんなとこにもあっ
mini
た。
stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine
ス
under
タ
your
ン
belt.
リン。スタンリン。このフリーダムエンドに行く途中でもう2つあるの。1、2、3、あと3つ
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that
エ
read
スケープ行ってみよう。
Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this
法
hall,
の死を遂げ
Stanley
る
and
の
the
です。
bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn
引き返
around
すチャンスがあ
and
っ
get
たの
back
で
on
す。
track.
引き返してみよう。
But of course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for. Nope. It's death for Stanley and the bucket.
ないんか。この先なんだっけ。あれか。プレスに潰される感じのやつか。
At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
ヒュー。インフィニティホール。よし。バケツがあるから大丈夫じゃないか。
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's
いかにも意味なものであったか思い返しました。
To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket. But what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
"Farewell, Stanley," cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end.
バケツの
as it
命は
was crushed violently to death.
ポータル動画からようこそ。ポータルみたいなことをやってます。本当よ。スタンリーの命を。
It was a shame, the death of
あ
such
んな
a
に立派な
magnificent
バケツが死んでしまった
It's
こと
true
は。
that all buckets are radiant in
Stanley.
their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
あれあれバケツ大展示会へのご来場をお待ちしております。あなたは今知識の崖に立っています。人の精神はたびたびバケツのように空っぽになり洞窟のような虚無感さえあります。しかしあなたの目の前にある展示物を使うことで心は豊かに満たされ具体化されます。このバケツの知識とその歴史は私たちが持つ唯一の真実の知識なのです。ここであなたが学んだことを世界に持ち出すつもりですか？この展示の情報について課題があるかもしれませんが心を開いてくれますか？あなたの生活やあなたの大切な人をこの展示をきっかけに変えられますか？もしくはあなたは目を背け無知と暗闇の中で今までと同じように生きますか？ バケツ店になってる。
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own?
25個のバケツ
Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
数が数えれないの。あ、バケツがつられてった。2つの取っ手付きバケツ。このようなデザインは今まで現実には一度も前例がなく、危険すぎる無謀な実験とされています。毎年それを試みただけで十数人が処刑されています。何この世界。バケツだ。地獄バケツのレプリカ。中世紀この強力な魅力を持つバケツの支配をめぐり、数十カ国が戦争を引き起こしました。10億人もが命を落としたにもかかわらず、誰もバケツを支配できないという事実だけが残されています。これで拾えない。ストレスバケツ。解説なし。ストレスをためて、レスト&リラクゼーション doing something you enjoy レスト&リラクゼーションバケツに光をこれバンクシーが書きそうな。バケツが人類誕生より前にすでに実在していたことは知られているもののいつ頃から存在していたのかは知られていません。このホラー穴の絵は古代人によりバケツの実用的な使い方の発見について描かれたものです。この時すでにバケツは数千年前から存在していたようです。この絵の注目すべき点は、バケツ自身が使うことを許可し、人類がその宝を使うのにふさわしいと判断された点と言えます。雨漏りかこれは。バケツを使おう。やった。バケツで水が飲める。飛脚みたいなのもいる。
No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket.
気になるな、こっち。ぶら下げられたバケツ。ああ、これね。えバケツ取れた。
But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die.
スタンリーにしよう。
Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take its place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
スタンリーにしよう。ゲームをリセットしたら、あれかな。また別のやつかな。これは、この続編は一時停止中なんだ。続編なんだね。扱いとしては一応。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
バケツをスルーしてみよう。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
右行こ
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
う。あ
Truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the
あ。
first
最初の
open door
左
on his
側のドア
left.
に入りました。ああ、そうか。倉庫に行くのか。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
ああ、ここで正しいルートに戻ると。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
レフ
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
ト。自分ボタン。
No, not the
でも
right.
新機能バケツしかない
Why
ね
would。I ever said it was
バ
to
ケ
the
ツと
right?
風船か。
What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
インフィニティホールはどこ行った？
Now, let's see. We went down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes.
OK, OK.
I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
This way. 無事。戻れるの。お、ここに来んのか。
No.
No,
This
no,
isn't
no.
right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now.
あ、扉閉まってる。
Story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to
ゲームをリスタートするのはどうです
we'll
か？
just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
だから本当あれなん
Stanley
だよ。
decided
あれ
to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
あ、そうか。このループは、あれか。そうだよね。そうか。このループは、あれか。閉じたループか。閉じたループっていうか。
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were
あ
back in
あ、
that
これ
room with all the
これ
monitors?
はそうだ
Did you
な。
move
バケ
the
ツ持ってきたい
story
な。
somewhere or- Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then. It's an
久々にやって、
Come, Stanley.
久々にやって覚えてないから。
The story.
覚えてないから。あ、もう迷った。なんだここ。地下と一緒じゃねえか。ループしてないんだろう。帰ってきた。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to start the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
マシになるかな。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
これ続編なんだ。続編は続編なんだけど、その中でこう固定されたやつをやってるというか。
Aha!
Aha!
I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
出た。
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way
よし、引き
and
返そう。
retrace our steps.
あれれ。来たね。
Now this... Well, I'll be honest. I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
Good job.
Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place
私は
is.
引いて
I
ます。
don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
2じゃん。こっち無視。あ、またドアのない部屋に行っちゃう。ダメか。いや、それもまた。
No, I'm done. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
ダメか。フィギュアどっかにないかな。
You see? The line knows where the story
The
is.
line.
It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests outside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. 楽しい音楽が。
もうちょっとちゃんと引いてくんねえか、この線。人形割と光ってたよね。それそのものは光ってるけど、周りを照らしてるわけではないんだよな。こっちはなんだこれ。これとこれは合ってるかな。ここ、なんだこの、何ここ、この、何ここ。ハリーポッターの駅みたいな感じ。空間に歪みが。じゃあ向こうに行くラインと、そういうことね。こうライン見て、あっち行けんじゃんって行くと、こっちに行って、正直にラインたどると、ここに行く。ここに行くけど結局これ、向こうには書いてあるのさ、ファイナンシャルなんとかだよね。あれだよね。ファイナンシャルレコーズだよね。エンプロイ432ピアレビューズ。ここ、この空間が歪んでるだけ。あれあれ聞いた。消えた。歪んだ空間が消えた。
Cut the music. Go back and look at that fern.
Stanley,
this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
無理だわ。無理だわ。緑色。白と黒。それぐらいしか覚えらんないわ。あんな。
Wait, what? We're back at the office?
あれ
No. Line,
No.
you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
ここもなんか変じゃねえ空間。この部屋入って抜けると右に廊下があるのに、こうでしょ。この扉のつながりがおかしいのか。426だもんな、ここ本当は。不思議だ。でこっち行くと今来た道か。はいはい。じゃあこっちで おこんな近いの？ドア2つ通ったらここだぜ。
Not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Restart.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this?
何？こっちか。
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having
なんで LINE トレードマークがついてんの？
No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it.
それ DM。 何にでもトレードマークをつける。店長突き破ってった。生きてんの？ The line。
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the
左
opportunity.
か右か。
In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination
私たちの目的は原点のドアの逆の反対の裏と一致する。
So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes,
右のドア
then
が
by
正解。
all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
見た。わかんのかい。
Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times?
ナレーターがいなくなる。ついにスタンリーが死ぬ。
It's all determined? So now,
本屋を
according
見つ
to
ける。
the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget?
ナレーターが前のリスタートを忘れる。
written here on this thing wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a
ス
say
トーリ
in
ーを
all
作ろ
of
うと
this?
する。
No, it
ナレ
can't
ーターが
be.
リスタート
I
す
don't want
る。
it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's
Skip
where
water,
we
skip
are
water.
right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
ああれ
all of his co-workers
風船に戻ってきた。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to
何
go
個
to
か
the
飛ばした
meeting.
気がするけど。
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
何個かっちゅう。あ、バケツだ。
Warmth,
長えな混乱エンドでも。
With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
プレイヤーがリセットしたらどこまで戻るんだろ
Oh,
うね。
good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
あれ
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket
ど
you're
こへで
carrying
も持ち歩い
around
てい
everywhere.
るバケツ。
The bucket isn't even from the original
続編の
Stanley
コンテンツ
Parable.
だけの
It's
もの
just
です。
sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first
アド
game.
ベンじゃないのよね。一作目からのクラシックのキャラクターたち。
Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but
あなたはそれに時間を費やしすぎてい
don't
ま
you
す。
want another story involving the adventure line? We could make the adventure line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
おアドベンチャーラインの新しいストーリーが。バケツを持ってるとあれなのか。新ニューコンテンツが至るところに出てくるのか。
Whee! Look at
Whee!
that wagon. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
また。バケツ版の混乱エンドってこと？
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that,
あなたは
we're
何かを
going to
諦めな
have
く
to
てはな
give
りま
something
せん。
up.
え？
Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid
バ
of
ケ
the
ツを追い
bucket.
払う必要があるんで
That's
す。
why I'm very proud to introduce
新キャラを
a
紹
new
介。
character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't
バ
you
ケ
agree?
ツテストいや。
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear
Now,
you saying how
壊
does
せ
a
んの？
character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters. Well,
す
you
ごい
see,
ガタガタ
if
揺
you
れ
were
てる。
to really explore
大
the
丈夫？
Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even
め
say
っ
that
ちゃ揺れてる。
about?
めっちゃ揺れて
The
る。
broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket
壊れ
Destroyer
るんじゃん。
merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the bucket destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
バン
Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that
バケツデストロイヤーが
you were magnificent.
あ終わったバケツ入れなあかんか。
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant
スタンリーのオフィスは遠い記憶となったままでした。どんな部屋だっけ？パソコンあったっけ？それから絵は何の絵だったろう？写真だっけ？
He could no longer recall. Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket.
デストロイヤーに突っ込むか。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket...
バケツデストロイヤーデストロイヤーエンドになったからバケツデストロイヤーエンドに
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct?
いけるかな？
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
Bucket is wrong.
Stanley was left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
チョコ食べよ
Oh, good Stanley. I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
ポータルみたいな雰囲気を出しつつもポータルとは全然違うね
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do... Whee!
Yes, yeah, right.
Line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well. Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers. Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up. Don't you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality. To me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along.
Bucket Destroyer.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
バケツが今こっち見たぞ
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable
入れ
characters?
らんないのか。
Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket
Wait,
Destroyer
wait.
merchandise the fans
Wait.
will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset
Yeah.
now. You'll have to hurry and feed it.
Ah, damn it.
Get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn
助けて
bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it.
この機械の
fans,
鍵で書く
Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and
ここは一緒なんだな。
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. The
Goodbye.
moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
フリーダムの電源切らない版
All of his
か。
co-workers were gone. What could it
電
mean?
源切らないやつ
Stanley
は
decided to go to the meeting room.
あ、どうなるんだ。
Good old bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
ああ、爆発するのか。あここにあるよとかないの。Hard to find. ベッドルーム。あ、めっちゃ貼ってある。は資料が。あ、ミッションステータスってあ、ラージルーム、ロッツオブボックス。そこかな。倉庫みたいなとこかな。Stairs, something to do with stairs. はしご？階段 Somewhere, both red and blue. 3番 Stairs, something to do with stairs. 覚えてない。倉庫の方には1個あるってことだな。ベッドルームって言ったらここだけど。違う。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
誰かプレッシャーでプレイヤーがリスタートするパターン。 これリスタートしたらどこまで戻るんだろうね。素直なリスタートになるのかな。あくまでバケツが追加されて、微妙にゲームが変わったよってだけなのかな。ジムボタンとか、ジャンプサークルとか。
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being
もう一回やって
videotaped,
終わろうかな。もう一
monitored
回
like
一応
guinea
この
pigs.
回で終わろうかな。
The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never!
もう土曜日だぜ。
The bucket tightened. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust
あれもう金曜じゃんって
except
なった
the
よ。
bucket.
はい。
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machine...
ポチ。
But at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on
バケツは
the
飛び込む。
controls. Stanley gasped.
スタンリーは恐怖のあまりハッと
Had
息を
this
飲み
been
まし
the
た。
bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power
バケツが
for
押したらしい。
himself? How could the bucket have betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared to throw the bucket away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly, silly birds. The control buttons became active again.
何？鳥選ぶのこれ。こっち。
Stanley flipped through one video of
かわい
silly
い。
birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind
マインドコントロール
control
施設ではなかったのです。
It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions. Had the bucket known this all along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his hands, the one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery. Stanley and the bucket never found freedom because they spent the
残りの
rest
人
of
生
their
をここで暮らす
lives
ことに
here
なり
in
ま
this
した。
place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life
鳥のライブストリー
this
ム
one
を見
was
続け
surely
る
the
人生。
best. And Stanley was happy.
終わった。鳥エンド。もう一度始めるにしよう。あ、やっぱここからなんだ。じゃあもうニューコンテンツ。あれ？
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
あれ？あれ？逆だよね。
Where are we going today? The bucket asked. Stanley just smiled. Anywhere they went
終わろうと思っ
together
たね。
would be perfectly fine with him.
ここからでも一緒か。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room. But Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was it? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
終わろうと思ったんだけど。
Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, said the bucket.
No.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go
貨物
there.
リフトへ。
Go to the cargo lift.
ここだと思うんだよね。あった。どうやって浮いてんだよこの板。
Okay, I'm going back to the
Yay.
name of these little Stanley figurines. And now I'm torn between Stanlerines
Stanlerines
and
to
figures. What do you
figures.
think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
降りていいのかなこれ。
But Stanley said that any path he walked might lead to the separation of himself and the bucket, his dearest friend. So he threw himself to his death, that they might die in one another's arms. How deeply touching.
死にました。
All of his co-workers were gone. What
あ
could it mean?
曲がりが元に戻っ
Stanley
た。
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. あれあれんえあれ A good bucket.
風強い
Strong
ね。
bucket, a humble bucket, a committed bucket, a bucket of culture and distinction.
怖い時はバケツを一緒に持っていく。あれ結局一緒
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him
やめようと思ったら
that the employee lounge
違う展開になってきた。
was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had
な
the
ん
bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
二つの
Stanley took
ドア
the
の
door on his left to
2
go
つの
back
ドアに至るまでの選択じゃないや
said the bucket.
経路が
Don't
変わ
go
るの
to
は
the
何なんだ
meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
リフトに乗り一
Stanley
番上
did
ま
not
で
question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
でん
In here, said the bucket.
ここだ
Go into this dark room over here. Stanley once
暗い
again
部屋
obeyed blindly.
暗これは暗い部屋ではない闇
Now pick up the phone, said the bucket. This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a
私はスタンリー
bucket
にバケ
because
ツ
I
をあ
thought
げ
he
ました
was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly,
彼はバケツが
he began
自
to
分と
believe
話をできると信じ始めたのですあ動けるえスタンリーの自宅 427。もうキッチンすっげえ汚ねえのに違う。キッチンすっげえ綺麗なのにシンク汚ねえ。あ、墓穴だ。僕を君と戻すために U を押して。
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
バケツが言ってることは妄想だぞと。僕を君の家へ連れて帰るために T。
Lately,
帰ってきた。
I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
本題へ戻るために K を押して。
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me.
それはただのバケツです。
It can't think, it can't talk. All it will ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different
液
location.
体を運ぶためにあると。
It doesn't do anything else.
そんなことないよ。このうるさい男の言うことは聞くな。僕たちが家へ帰るために N を押して。帰って
You
きた。
see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders
かつて
from.
指示をしていたのは私だったのですよ。
Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This
ア
stupid
ホみたい
hunk
な
of
金
metal.
属の塊。君の人生で僕以外全員を無視するために Y を押して。
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does shine a bit.
ナレーターがバケツに惹かれてる。僕が実在するって信じてるんだよね、スタンリー。家へ帰るために P を押して。
Yes, I suppose on closer
さらによく見てみると、金物屋でよく見る感じのバケツとは全く違うように見えます。
inspection, what am I trying to say? Sturdier,
たくましい。
capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
バケツの魅力に。X を押すと、この同じ日を何度も何度も僕と繰り返せるよ。怖い。
Oh my god, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do
それ
I feel
バケ
some
ツだ
need
よ。
to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
家へ仕事へ家へ仕事へ家へ帰るために P を押せ。
Oh no. I'm having feelings for the bucket. No, 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 no. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing.
この混乱がマシになるかもしれない。そうだ。
Could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
同じ発想へ。バケツを持っていれば近いっても狂わないと思いきや。なんかムーディー。あ、扉が開いた。ホラーじゃん。 あ、このポスターにもバケついた。え？バケツかなこれ。これもバケツなんだよ。ああ、こんなとこにもバケツが。フライパン。
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
戻ろう、スタンリー。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. The
旧友との抱擁。
a weathered companionship that stands the test of time.
いやー、終わろうと思ったんだけど全然終われないな。
Bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting
こ
room.
れだと洗濯違うな。
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go. Good, said the bucket.
これで下
Now
降り
ride
た
the
いん
lift
だ
all
け
the
ど
way to the top. There's
素
something
直
up
に降
there
りる
I
と
need
死
you
んじゃ
to
うんだ
do.
よね。
Stanley did
何す
not
んだっけな。
question why or how this bucket
こ
was
れで途
speaking.
中で降りるんだった。
It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Danger everywhere.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket?
本当だ。
Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true,
Buckets
well,
禁
my
止。
goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here.
ここで踏みとどまってください。あIs this a
Now
bucket?
then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not
バケツかどうかを
I'm
お
showing
答え
you
ください。
is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
でん。
Incorrect. It is a
バケツのホログラム
of
で
an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a
3D プリントにより再構築されたバケツです。全部バケツじゃない。
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
当たった。
This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up?
一体どうやったらそんな間違えるの？
Incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
全部バケツだよ。
Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a
Eh?
bucket.
え？
Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
掛け問題。どういうこと？解説。
Item. Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing
バケツは無だと思ってるんですか？バケツは無だと思ってるんですか？
You know what? I'm too confused.
この味すぎてもう何がなんだ。
I've lost all sense of perspective.
バケツを無だと思ってるんですかっていう質問もなんだよ。
I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a
バケ
bucket
ツが何か知ってる人はいませんか？私はバケツなのでしょうか？
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all
押せ
I
なかった。
had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase
ゲームから完全にバケツを消し去ってやる。
Okay.
続編なのに。
What happened?
すべて消えてしまったのでしょ
Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything
全部バケツだった。
every single thing in the
この
game
ゲーム
was
は
a
バケ
bucket?
ツしかなかったの？
Oh my god, I had no idea. How could except me? I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful.
私たちはバケツじゃなかった。
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right,
すべては
here
バ
we
ケツ
go.
です。
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather. The bucket made Stanley want to be a better man and a better co-worker. In time, perhaps, he would become both of those things. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling
あ
to
れ
him,
でも今
telling
の
him that the employee lounge was
今
simply
のは
the
選
place to
択肢あったっ
be.
け？
And here it was. Had the
わかんなくなっ
bucket
ちゃっ
turned out to
た。あ
be
あ、クイ
correct?
ズの
Was it- No,
あれか。
never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
Don't go to the meeting
下行
room.
きたいんだ
Go
よ
somewhere
な。
else.
下どうやって行くん
The
だったか
cargo
な。
lift. Yes, go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
ここしか来れないよね。そこから降りたらワンチャンあんのかな。
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
バケツ NG の先だったかな。
Okay to bring the bucket here. Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness. I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
バケツ
Now
ク
then,
イ
I'm going
ズ。
to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
B.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
次が 3D プリンターバケツか。
Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket.
次が本
an
物
actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
次がトラクターだっけ。
Item 4. Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one.
次にトラクターがもし出てきたらどうすればいいんだろうな。さっきバケツになった出てきた。
Is this a bucket?
あ、
Correct.
合ってた。
This is a bucket.
これがなんでバケツなんだよ。
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
引っ掛けじゃなかったっけ。
Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item. Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. Should be around here somewhere. Yes. Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless, is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself and my
押してもダメなのか。
all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
一緒だな。
Here we go.
ピ。終わろう。2。2つ。